Well, welcome to MBC News. I'm Dooza Dragonesh, your anchor, and the team today is Mal Burns-Writer and Sigmund Learminster. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are.
More of that later. Well, I was going to open with the US still walking the tightrope of possible debt default, even with the ceiling raised. But Sigmund, you've got a bit of news for us, haven't you?
Well, apparently the breaking news at the moment is that the House of Representatives have okayed the bill, but then that goes to Senate, and we still have to wait to Senate to vote, and that'll probably be tomorrow. But the likelihood that all that will be well, and everybody will be happy. So we'll see how that goes.
We're always happy with no debt.
They do leave it to the last minute, don't they? Still.
Yeah, this was,
well, that's how debt happens, procrastination. And Samsung are halting sales of their pad, in Australia, whilst one of the suits brought against them by Apple is played out. And an 18-year-old Shetland Islander, Jack Davis, has appeared in court in London in the UK, charged with conspiracy to carry out denial of service attacks on serious organised crime agency website. He was arrested during investigations into LultSec and Anonymous. So far, there have been around 16 arrests in connection with various attacks allegedly perpetrated by Lultz and Anonymous.
Well, Second Life users in the US who rely on phone-based access to the internet may be thinking about other options, because starting in October, AT&T will be throttling the data capacity for customers who make heavy use of the internet, which is one more step towards doing away with unlimited data access. Now, in fact, only Sprint's Nextel service is currently maintaining an unlimited option, with all the other suppliers now charging higher fees and placing caps on data use. AT&T have suggested that users turn to Wi-Fi networks more often if they want to stream videos and music.
And none of that makes any sense to me, Sigmund. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, any kind of capping or anything to do with internet throttling is like the blue touch paper. And
at some point, maybe we should educate people as to your problems with British Telecom. If people think they have it bad in the US with some of the wireless providers, they maybe need to visit the UK and meet the British Telecom people. So
wish 'em luck.
Yeah, if they can meet them. Meanwhile, Virtual World and other internet users from India could become victims of new government internet rules that prohibit websites and service providers from hosting information that could be regarded as, quote, harmful, blasphemous, or insulting, unquote. Now, ISPs can be held responsible for providing access to such sites, and this includes popular public cyber cafes. Now, internet shops are already required to install surveillance cameras and demand identification from customers, but the new rules require them to keep a record of each user's browser's activity and submit these records to the government each month. So worrying times ahead, I think, there for folks in India.
Well, they've already instigated past, or aren't they bringing in some law in the UK, Mal, to say that every page you look at is possibly an infringement of copyright?
Well, it's not so much a law. There was a company whose name I immediately forget who were actually on the web the other day. I mean, obviously getting traffic for themselves, actually, but they had apparently lost some kind of case, and they were saying that it was bad news for everybody else because the concept of linking was under the domain of copyright, really, so that if you press a link and go to a page, you should technically require a license to read that material. But it's the sort of thing where you just
codswallop.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like the British Post Office trying to enforce their trademark on hypertext. I mean, the days
do we still have post offices?
Well, British Post Office actually owns hypertext, which was used by WordPerfect, and in fact the web. Tim Berners-Lee built the web on hypertext, but they never enforced it, and they won't stand a chance now. It's too much of a ubiquitous thing.
Well, it's a complete nonsense, isn't it? We have websites so people can look at them. By their very existence, it implies that you're inviting somebody to come and look at it.
Well, it's the same. It's the same with copyright. It's the same with copyright. Really, it's all an insidious move, in my opinion, to commercialise the net and turn it into portals which the media will control and further censor what we look at. I mean, the internet was built to provide freedom of information all over the place. If you're an artist and you want to show off a painting you've done, you put a low resolution JPEG up. You don't worry about people copying it. It's not as though they can get your original. You may make more sales of an original print that way. I mean, some people just seem to think the internet is somewhere where they can plonk stuff and just moan left, right, and centre if somebody nicks it. Why did they put it on the web in the first place?
Precisely. What do you think, Sigmund?
The web, I think, is the example par excellence of public domain. If you post stuff up there with the intent of sharing information, then what do you expect to happen? There's some legitimacy in the argument that if people are stealing something you've created and putting it up there and making money from it, then yes, there's an infringement of copyright. But most of the stuff that's on the web has been there for a long, long time. Most of it is just waffle and opinion. And there are laws already in existence. If you think somebody has stolen something of yours and put it on the web, you can do that. You don't need to make any new laws about it. We already have copyright laws. You could already sue people. So trying to introduce new laws is just a bad idea.
Anybody else who's in love with Sigmund Leominster, please write it on a note card.
Very small note card. And talking about making money, Groupon is an internet-based business that provides discount coupons to shoppers, and it's now announced that it's going in partnership with a location-sharing service called Foursquare, which is something popular with many people who are on Facebook. But what will now happen is that Foursquare will show users Groupon deals that are available nearby, and both companies will then take a cut if a user purchases the deal that's on offer. That's right, yeah. Now, this is potentially a smart move for Groupon, because the company has reportedly amassed about $540 million in operating losses since its founding in 2008. And Groupon also announced last month that it's planning an IPO in order to raise $750 million, presumably some of that to pay off the debt. So this partnership may well be a way of trying to persuade potential investors that they can make some money by investing with Groupon.
It doesn't sound like they're going to, but I'm a novice in these here hills.
I was going to say that the people who are making the risk here, I think, tend to be Foursquare, because, but again, it is a partnership. It's not an ownership deal, so they both split whatever profits they make. Foursquare will keep their own profits, and Groupon will keep their profits. But if they're already $540 million in the hole, they have a way to go to get that back. So we'll see how that all works out.
Now, the race to bring virtual worlds and immersive spaces into the web browser has been heating up lately, and here is Melbourne's writer to tell us all about it.
Well, indeed, it's really the only subject this week. The likes of Tipperdeer and Kitely and Jive, we've spoken of before, have focused on the potential for opening up lightweight windows in virtual spaces, offering basic viewing and participation options. Some of these are exclusive environments running through variations of Unity 3D and the like, whilst others aim to provide an easy way to connect to existing platforms via the web itself. There's been a lot of discussion about that this week, because while the OpenSim Grid's Spot on 3D has entered the fray, Spot On are a kind of walled garden platform, much smaller, but sort of akin in many ways to Second Life. And they emphasize security with a more complex than standard login process and the absence of any hypergrid enablement, for example. What they've actually done is they've modified a browser plugin which manages to launch a Spot On branded version of the Hippo viewer as a separate process, and the viewer then draws the rendered frames onto a space that the plugin has reserved for it in the browser window. Now, the plugin itself has been created using something called Firebreath open source toolkit, which is designed, it's designed for lots of things, but one of its toolkits is designed for creating cross-browser plugins. And the one problem here is that there are no actual hooks in the system for communicating between the page and the actual viewer. All that actually happens is that the plugin will launch the viewer from your hard disk into the web page. So this means that the full viewer, which incidentally is based on Linden Labs' old 1.23.5 code base, is actually running, giving you the full immersive experience you would normally expect, including things like voice. The fact it's running as a separate process means that the plugin alone won't actually work unless the you've downloaded the full viewer and have installed it on your hard disk. And of course, some people might say, well, this defeats the object. It remains to be seen, really, whether web users will be prepared to download a full Metaverse viewing client through this method. But if so, I suspect it's only a matter of time before the likes of Phoenix, Imprudence, and other independent viewers offer this facility. Firebreath, which is some of the open source code they're using, is actually licensed under a dual license structure, which means you can choose whether it's licensed under a BSD license or the GNU Lesser General Public License version 2.1. And if you want more information about the technical side of all that, just go along to www.firebreath.org.
Thank you, Mal. Never mind. I don't understand it anyway. A new world, Smeet, has announced itself, so MBC sent along a mystery shopper, and this is what came back to us. Smeet equals The Sims meet virtual worlds. For me, terribly simplistic, very infantile in the artistic sense, a lot of click on this and click on that. Movement is not at all intuitive, as in SL you click on a spot and then your avatar stutters towards it. I think that should read, movement is not at all intuitive, as it is in SL. But in Smeet, you click on a spot and then your avatar stutters towards it. Fine for kids, but not, I think, for the serious gamer who's looking for an immersive and truly controllable experience.
Well, that's rather odd, actually. I've had an account with Smeet for about 2 years. So, but I totally agree with that. It's another one of those things I was just hinting at, the idea of, a window into a world on the web, but it is, very rudimentary to say the least.
Well, I don't know whether it's revamped itself. It might be worth you having another look now and seeing if there's any difference. But it's not saying we are a 2-year-old virtual world. Anyway, and this week in Second Life, Miss Ebony International has its final on the 31st of July, and the eagerly awaited episode 2 of Beaver Ridge is to be released on August the 6th, in fact. So stand by for more details of that. And that's what we've got time for. I mean, did you enjoy your time in the UK, Sigmund? I'm just going to ask you. We missed you.
I did indeed. I was really curious. I managed to have steak pudding and mushy peas and real warm beer and all the good stuff that makes England so exciting and entertaining. And I also got a fair dose of rain, so I felt like I'd gone home. So that was great. But yeah, it was an inclusive visit.
No sunbathing in the UK then, eh?
Yeah, there was no sunbathing. It rained almost every day, but I did manage to get lots of Cadbury's chocolate, so that was also a good thing.
But that's American now, isn't it?
It belongs to Kraft. So Kraft, who also make those delicious cheese slices, do that. And the other thing, which I really always do when I'm there because I visit my parents, my mother likes to feed me, so I was having bacon butties every day. And folks in the UK will understand all about bacon butties.
Yeah, yeah, we're not allowed them anymore because of the high cholesterol.
Yeah, well, guess what I was doing?
Okay, well, that's all we've got time for. Would you like to say goodbye in your own inimitable ways?
Goodbye, and we'll see you all next week.
And I concur. See you all next week.
And if you want to play Conkers, please get hold of Melbourne's writer. So stay safe from MBC News.